you wouldn't believe it, but something as simple as choosing the wrong color can end up costing you more every year in your cooling or maybe even your heating costs for your building or for your home. Hey, it's Phil from Euroheat, and today I want to tell you a quick story that happened to me just yesterday with regards to a roof. Now, during the design process of this building, we worked closely with the architect and the owner, and we not only designed the heating and cooling system, a heat recovery system for this particular building, but we also did the software modeling on the building design, and straight away, even before we did the modeling, we said, why is your roof black? Now, we live in Perth, and even if you go north or south of Perth, the colours of your building have a massive effect on how much energy it either absorbs or reflects. Now, obviously in winter you might want to absorb more heat, but a lot of the time our problem is actually absorbing too much energy during summer, and that energy, that heat, coming into the building. And for this reason, you'll see in Mediterranean countries, say on the Greek islands, the buildings are of simple construction, but they remain quite cool. And the reason is because they're painted as white as they can be. Everything's white, and that means that it doesn't actually absorb much of the heat radiated by the sun, but it rather reflects it. So it keeps the building structure itself cool, so it doesn't absorb this heat and then re-radiate it into the house. So on this particular project, the roof was black, as black as you can get pretty much. And look, it was a fantastic house, beautiful design. The walls were actually quite white, which was great for the summer, but the roof was jet black. And when we did the calculations, we figured out that it was actually going to increase the cooling bills in summer by 17% just because of the roof color. So the roof was absorbing this sun's heat, then radiating it down into the roof space, and then even though there's a ceiling with ceiling bats on there, because the roof is so warm, it can get up to, let's say, 70 or even 80 degrees in there, it still radiates this energy through to the space, which might be at 24 degrees inside the rooms, because there's such a large temperature differential. And let's not forget, insulation doesn't stop energy, it merely slows it down. So if you give it enough time or enough power, say if there's a big temperature differential, the energy will still get through either sooner or later. So this particular project was actually completed not too long ago, but the construction started some years ago. And we suggested that the roof colour be changed from black, but the architect and the client were both set on this sort of colour palette, and so they stuck with it. So the heating and cooling system and the heat recovery system is working great, working fantastic. But what's actually happened is that at this particular house, they have a lot of technology within the roof space. Say they have some fold down screens, they have a lot of electrical gear in the roof space, and they have some computer equipment up there. And what's actually happening is because it's getting so hot during summer, this equipment is, you know, some of it has been damaged and some of it probably will get damaged in the future because of this heat. And it's making obviously the cooling system work harder because there's this energy coming down through the roof, which doesn't have to happen. Now, thank goodness, it's not the end of the world. We can still sort of improve the situation from here for the client and for the architect. So for this particular project, where now, after the client has moved in and because it's getting so hot in the roof, we are installing a roof ventilation system where basically it's comparing the internal temperature and the external temperature, and according to the season, it's going to suck out the heat from the roof space and replace it with, say, the cooler external heat. Because even if it's 35 degrees outside, it's better to have that 35-degree air sucked into the roof than to have that, say, 70 or 80 degree air within the roof space. And so this will actually help quite a lot. But the only difference is between having the light roof colour and having this ventilation system for the roof is that you now have to consume a little bit of energy to power the fans and to power the louvers and to power, say, the dampers which open and close these air paths. Whereas if you just had a light coloured roof, you wouldn't have to do this ventilation system. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh yes, we could do just a, open, passive sort of ventilated roof where it's open, say, in the eaves on two ends of the house, and it would, the heat would be dissipated and blown out. This is true, but there's two reasons why it didn't happen on this project. One is because it's very close to the ocean. It's right on the beach actually. And so there were concerns that the salt air would come in and start corroding, you know, the steel roof structure and all these things, even though it's hot dip galvanized and the rest. The second reason is from an energy efficiency perspective, yes, it's fantastic to ventilate your roof during summer, but in winter, if you don't have your roof and your ceiling construction done correctly, ventilating your roof space can actually detract from your energy efficiency. So if you don't have your ceiling constructed well and you ventilate your roof in winter, you can actually get huge heat losses from your rooms through the ceiling, either through the insulation, but more likely through the gaps in the insulation, through poorly installed insulation, or through thermal bridges in the actual structure of itself. You can actually lose a whole lot of energy. Yes, passive ventilation is an option as well, but you have to consider that from the start and make sure that everything is designed as it should be and taking all these factors into consideration. But I digress. We were talking about colours, and in this specific instance we were talking about the colour of a roof. So we would strongly suggest having a light coloured roof most of the time, but the most important thing is to consider everything in your building before it's built, so you don't have these problems after you've already moved in and it's too late, or it's going to cost you extra money to do something about it. And a simple analysis beforehand, either by us or by someone else that is experienced in these matters, can end up saving you a whole lot of frustration and a whole lot of money in the future. So if you'd like some help with making sure that your building is going to be naturally energy efficient, or with, say, software modeling on your building to make sure that it is going to perform how you want it to perform, or even you'd like some help with designing and installing a ventilation system, be it natural or, say, forced or mechanical, give us a call at Euroheat. We love doing these things. We love making buildings energy efficient, and we'd like to help you too.